Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. We're your hosts, Logan and Luke November 13th, 2014. We're recording a different time of the day. Usually we do these Wednesday mornings around 8:30, 9-ish, 7 o'clock. I kind of like recording at this time more than when we do early morning. I'm kind of
No,
still sluggish and still waking up when we do it that time.
no, it is kind of nice. I kind of like I don't know, just like the vibe. I like the vibe. It's dark outside, get the lights on, the light on. I
Yes.
like it.
Yeah, we're going to recap some of the Week 10 NFL action, do a segment called Real or Fake, and then our Week 11 picks. Luke, Week 10 was, we're kind of at the point of the season where we know who teams are at this point. But Week 10, I
Yeah.
thought there were a lot of key games and a lot of results that really kind of shaped, what the playoff picture right now and
hmm
how things could go looking forward.
Yeah, like specifically, I know we'll talk about them, but the Ravens and Bengals and Steelers Washington games, big games for obviously the AFC North. Wild card picture in each conference. Those were huge. There are some other big ones. Like Patriots, Bears basically took the Bears out of the playoffs. Lions,
I mean,
Texans,
yeah.
clearly. We'll talk about that.
And we
Chiefs,
won't talk about this, but
Broncos.
that game, Rams, Dolphins, I thought was, a pretty big outcome for the NFC West. I'm not sure about the Dolphins side of things, but the NFC West,
Keeps them
Rams
alive,
lose that
man.
game. Keeps them alive, but the NFC West now, we'll talk about that
Yeah.
here shortly as well. But NFC West kind of was affected by that as well. So let's start with last Thursday night's game, probably the game of the week. When these two teams play, it's a shootout each time. They played early in the season. It was 41-38. Baltimore won in Cincinnati, I believe, in overtime in that one. Bengals go for two to avoid overtime in this game, but they do not succeed. There was an egregious holding call missed on Mike Gesicki on that play that didn't get called. And
Yeah.
Joe Burrow also got hit in the face mask as well in that play. For me, this game, I thought the Bengals missed an opportunity, and the Ravens were very fortunate to win this game.
Mhm.
Bengals were really dominant in this game, really methodical, moving down the field, taking time off the clock. I think at one point, third quarter, they had almost 200 more yards passing
Mhm.
compared to the Ravens. And then the fumble by Chase Brown in the third quarter, it was 21-7. Chase Brown fumbles, Baltimore scores, and it kind of gives the Ravens some life because we were watching that game together, and
Mhm.
the crowd really seemed out of it. It was pretty quiet in Baltimore at that point in the
I
game.
mean, I think it just shows. So I think it shows this is a division game. So I always think with division games, sometimes you don't take as much. Oh, I got a little hair sticking out there, but not as much. But you still take some stuff. I think it showed that Baltimore's defense. I think I gave them a lot of leniency. The defense is an issue, and if they want to make the Super Bowl, they either need the Bills to beat the Chiefs or they need a lock in against the Chiefs. So we'll see about that. But I don't think you need to talk about that too much. I think it's kind of known. But I think that what this game just symbolizes is Joe Burrow and the Bengals, where Joe Burrow can beat anyone, but his team's honestly not that good. Jamar Chase had 50 something fantasy points. It was just the Jamar Chase show, and they still lose. I'm fully fine with them going for two. I don't even think that's a discussion. You're trying to beat the Ravens on the road. It's 35-34. It should have just been a fade to Jamar Chase. I don't care. I don't care if people don't like the fade. Should have been Jamar Chase. But I think it just shows the Bengals' incompetency from ownership to head coach to the talent on the roster. So I don't think they'll make the playoffs. That's my pick. And I think stuff is going to get shaken up in Cincinnati. And we're going to be looking back if Zach Taylor gets fired, like you lost against the Ravens twice by a couple points. Meanwhile, the other side is Harbaugh and is Lamar playing great, and you trust their supporting cast more. So that's what it meant to me.
Yeah, and I think also in addition to the Ravens secondary concerns, Kyle Hamilton picked up an ankle injury in that game. I'm not sure what his status is for this week. They play Pittsburgh. I have not looked at practice reports, or I haven't seen anything that he's missed practice as of yet. But if Kyle Hamilton misses any time, that secondary is going to still probably be even more of an issue going forward. But like you said, I think that's the Ravens probably their key weakness is probably their passing defense. That's probably the top weakness of this team. And usually you don't coordinate, a poor defense with Baltimore. Usually they have a very good defensive culture. And I've been on this since week one. I don't think their defense is that good. They lost some key pieces of personnel from last year. They still have some talent on that defense, but I think it comes down to coaching and schematics. And they have a first-time defensive coordinator, and he kind of seems over his skis right now. Now, he can always grow into a good defense coordinator, but at this moment, they just seem kind of out of sorts in the schematics and coaching department on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I agree. It's just definitely it's a weakness. I mean, it's not what I expected, but I think at this point you can be like, it's just what it is. It's just what it is. But they're still a Super Bowl contender, and that's still very much true. And the Bengals are still clawing their way for the playoffs.
Yeah, if I had to pick today, I'd still say Baltimore makes it, or not Baltimore. Sorry, they're clearly going to make it. The Bengals will make it, but I mean, this week, if they don't win this week, I'll probably have to reconsider, my prediction of them still trying making the playoffs as a wild card team. But for me, I think it's all about the defense. Joe Burrow. I mean, at this point, I feel kind of bad for the guy. He's played as good football as he possibly can. Like if the team was, I mean, if their record was reciprocated, he'd probably be in MVP conversations right now. But he's not because they're not a playoff team right now. But I think otherwise he would be.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's move on to the next game. Another AFC North team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, beating the Commanders 28-27. Russell Wilson wasn't that efficient in this game, only completing 50% of his passes, but he still has that deep ball that he's had throughout his career. And he's hit it in big spots, hitting Mike Williams for the game-winning touchdown this one. Are the Steelers, and we're going to talk about the Steelers in the real or fake segment coming up. How serious of contenders do you view them as in the AFC?
I mean, I don't see why anyone who's not named the Chiefs, Ravens, or Bills should be ahead of them. I mean, you could say Texans, but I still don't trust him. I mean, you saw the Texans. We'll talk about that, I believe. They just blew a game, and I know they're getting Nico Collins back, but something's not right about the Texans. Even when they've had a great game and had 5 picks, they lost. Something not right with the Texans. I mean, Chargers are looking good, but Steelers just have done it more recently, more winning seasons with Tomlin. I mean, Harbaugh's first year. So I think you make a case they're better than anyone besides the top 3, but they're not on that top 3. And there could always be an upset. I mean, they have a good defense, but I always love the Pittsburgh defense. I do think it's not as good as it usually is. It's not as good as it usually is, which I think I have realized. It's still really good defense, but it's just not that man, there's no one close. I mean, I still think I'd take Denver over anyone else's defense at the moment, them or the Chiefs, but I think I'd take Denver still. It's because the Chiefs cornerback 2 issues at the moment. But they can be anyone. Russell Wilson, I saw his fourth quarter stats are nuts. I forgot what they were, but he's perfect in the fourth quarter. So they're up there with the Texans and the Chargers, and it's interesting to see Russell Wilson. He's getting the job done. I really think Mike Williams, the more that he progresses with them, he's the perfect Russell Wilson receiver. Him and Pickens are perfect because Russ just wants to chuck it up there for you. And they may be 2 top 5 receivers who on chuck it up for you plays. So I like them a lot. And then looking at Washington, still like them a lot. You lost a close game. You had a stupid penalty. I think that Washington's real. I mean, they got a game tomorrow. And then if you're watching, maybe today. But Washington Eagles will be huge, but I still like them. And yeah.
Yeah, I think Commanders, and kind of going back to your Steelers point, I do think they're legitimate. I mean, they're clearly going to be a playoff team. I just don't know if they'll win that division. And for me, we'll see. I don't know how, Russell Wilson, he only completed 14 of 28 passes. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be against teams, that are really good. Now, they have a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. So I don't think he's going to be able to afford to be going 14 of 28 and then hoping to make, these moonball shots. I don't think that's quite sustainable. Now, I'm going to give them credit. They're 7-2, winning the division. If they win this week against Baltimore, they clearly have command in that division. I just don't know how sustainable that's going to be. But I'm going to give Russell Wilson credit. I'm going to give Mike Tomlin credit for shifting to Russell Wilson despite the team having somewhat success with Justin Fields. Not as much success offensively, clearly. Russell Wilson's been an upgrade over Fields in that department. And then for Washington, I mean, Jan Daniels, rookie quarterback, he's still playing very well, but we have not seen the prolific statistics that he was posting early in the season. It's still very good for a rookie, but he kind of struggled in this one. And this game probably shouldn't have been as close as this was. I don't know if you saw, but the Steelers, they tried to do a fake punt earlier in the game. I think like on their own 27, that was really not needed. And they were up 7-0 at that point.
Yeah.
Didn't really need to do that. And they kind of gave Washington life in that game, kind of let them get a free touchdown. Tomorrow night, Thursday night's going to be a huge game against the Eagles. And we'll talk about the Commanders. I have an interesting statement for you to judge later about the Commanders. But clearly, both these teams are playoff teams. I think Washington will still be a playoff team. I do wonder if there will be, if we kind of start seeing some rookie growing pains at this point. Now, I don't think there will be because their schedule's really light, but I do think that is something to watch for the Commanders at this point in the year.
I mean, growing pains are definitely possible, but I'm still liking Jane Daniels. He's slowing down a little, which I did predict he would slow down a little. So I think they're still fine. And big game, I think to talk about Washington, you got to wait for the next game. But on the thing about what you said, I don't think the Steelers have a gauntlet of a schedule. I don't. You face the Ravens twice. That's division. That's just division. You face Chiefs and Eagles. Yes, that's tough. This rest of the season. Then you have 4 games in which you're clearly the better
AFC North
team.
games are always tough.
You're better than Brown. Yeah, but you're the better team. You're better than the Browns. You play them twice, and you're better than Cincinnati, and you play them twice. I don't think that's gauntlet. I think that's tough, but gauntlet, you shouldn't be the better team in half your games if it's considered a gauntlet. I mean, and then you can argue that they're better than the Eagles.
The better team doesn't always win. I've heard you say that a lot of times. The better team always.
I know, but we're talking about the word gauntlet. It's not a gauntlet when Ford's
I still think it's a pretty damn tough schedule
the
when you look
team.
at when you have all that.
No, yeah, it's tough, but
games.
gauntlet is. I would not, and you have maybe one of the most trustworthy coaches for those divisional games. So it's a tough schedule, but I just wanted to say gauntlet when you're much better than the Browns and you're better than Cincy, clearly.
Let's move on to the next game, and then we'll talk about the Sunday night game between the Lions and the Texans. The Cardinals beat the Jets. It was pretty much, I mean, we were watching that game together. It was a pretty much dominant performance. Wasn't really close after the first quarter. I believe the Cardinals scored 14 first quarter points in that game. Kyler Murray, 22 of 24 for 266 yards. I believe he had 3 total touchdowns. I believe a rushing touchdown and 2 throwing. I told you this about the Jets when we were talking last week about them. They win a game and then everybody falls into a trap of they may have a chance. This team with Rodgers, it's the same thing as Rodgers the last 3 years. He talks all this BS, and in the beginning with Rodgers, there's a lot of energy, but at a certain point, I think his teammates, his coaches, they kind of get tired of him, and it kind of becomes this thing of he's saying the same old thing as the same old results of them losing. Like Devontae Adams is saying that they could run the table. Rodgers is giving that vibe. It's the same thing with Rodgers. It's the same old thing, and I don't know how many more wins they get this season.
No, yeah, I mean, I said they had a shot, and if they won this game, it would have been true. But they lost the game, so they're probably done. But you have that 1% sliver of hope if you do run the table, which I don't think anyone's expecting him to. Definitely not me. But I mean, they're still talented. But I don't think they're the story here. The story is the Cardinals may be a legit team. How legit, we'll see. But Kyler's playing way more efficiently than he used to. Running the ball well. Defense is a lot better from the beginning. McBride and Marvin are a nice 1-2 option. I think McBride's the one. And I didn't think they had a chance at the NFC West, but now I truly think it's them and Niners. I'm still going to take the Niners. I'm taking the Niners. They're more talented. Their special teams has lost them so many games. I mean, they really could be a 7-2 team right now, and then we think completely different. But they had special teams mess up twice, and it almost cost them another one. So they got to figure that out. But the Cardinals are legit. Even like I was even thinking about like the NFC West could have two playoff teams. They could. There could be a slide from someone like Washington or Philly or Green Bay or Minnesota. I mean, we saw the Jags do it last year. They're 8-3, and then they lost on out. You can just see see a precipitous fall from anyone. And then we're looking at Week 18. Instead of it being Niners Cardinals for the division, it's Niners Cardinals division, but loser gets a 7 seed. So I think that's very interesting. I do think the Cardinals are a worthy playoff team at the moment, and you got Kyler has gotten a lot better. And I mean, he's won 4 straight games or 3 straight games, and
They won 4. They were 2-4, and then they've won 4 straight. They're 6-4 now, going to the bye.
I know. I mean, he hasn't done that in a while, so you got to respect it. You got to respect it, and they're a legit team, and I think that's the story. I think the Jets are just okay. They're bad.
Oh, yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, and I think the Cardinals. I mean, they have not allowed a touchdown in 3 straight home games, and we questioned before this win streak and like during this win streak, there were questions: is this a fraudulent win streak? Are they actually that good of a team? But what good teams do to bad teams is that they dominate them. In the last 2 games, they've outscored their opponents 60-15. The Bears and the Jets, both bad teams. So when you're a good team and you play a bad team, you're supposed to dismantle them. And that's exactly what the Cardinals did in these 2 instances. And they beat the Chargers earlier. I think it was the first one of the win streak was the Chargers 17-15.
Yeah.
And Chargers are 6-3 now. I think the Cardinals are for real. Their schedule going forward, they have a lot of very winnable games. Now they're not going to win. They're not going to win out. Like they're not going to win, 15 or like 14 straight or 12 straight games to close the year. That's just not going to happen. But I do think that there is a opportunity for them to win this division. Like we'll talk. You kind of answered the question that I was going to propose later, but I'll still ask it later. But I think Cardinals right now. I mean, they have a very easy schedule. 49ers kind of have a few tough games in there, and they're already behind. I kind of like the Cardinals to win this division at this point. Now, I could look really wrong here in a couple weeks because it's Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, but they're playing really good football right now. And like their defense, to me, the Broncos are clearly a better defense, but they're both similar defenses in terms of there's not really big names on the defense. Now, Pat Surtain on Broncos definitely a big name. Budda Baker, but Budda Baker has not been playing for the Cardinals these last couple weeks, I believe. So it's a lot of unknown names kind of producing that. So I think Cardinals, Gannon's having them play really good defense. Kyler's playing really well, and they're even blocking good up front. I don't think they've allowed a sack in 3 or 4 straight games. So they're dominating on both fronts of the ball. I don't know. They're going to the bye. Maybe the bye is actually at a bad time for them because they are playing so well. But at the same time, you get rest and you get healthy. So I kind of like the Cardinals. Even if they don't win the division, I think they could be a wildcard team as well.
No, yeah, your pick is very similar to. You're giving me vibes of when last year you said the Bills couldn't make the playoffs, and then they won. They're 6-6, then they made the playoffs. Yes, that comparing the Niners to the Bills here, and similarly, how a week ago you said Rams, now you're saying Cardinals, but you're avoiding the most talented team in the Niners. Niners have to fall off a lot for me to not take them, even with their close wins. They're just clearly the better team in these games and just having a lot of weird stuff. I'm still going to take the Niners. But, yeah, I think it could be 2 NFC West teams in a wild card. I mean, I think you got to watch out for Green Bay and Minnesota. I think Green Bay, Minnesota, Washington, Philly legit have all of the potential to just drop off. Now, do I think any of them will? Probably not. They're good teams, but I could see just one having an impactful injury and then bang, they're falling off and the Niners catch up to them. So it'll be interesting. But the Cardinals, legit team, I'd still like them to win because they have wins like against the Chargers and Niners, but like they probably should have lost both those. So I'd like them to get a win against a good team that's like, yeah, we were the better team. Because I don't think they're the better team in either of those games. They just came out on top.
Last game we'll talk about, and this one was my ears are still ringing from Luke yelling in this game with Jared Goff. Luke had last leg of a bet he had, and if you know Luke and you watch sports with Luke at all, when things aren't going right for him in a bet, like in a certain game, it gets very loud. Like he's very loud. Now I get pretty loud too, but I think Luke's on another level of loudness. And Jared Goff was definitely a frustrating point. I remember we were watching the game, and you're like, this feels like a Jameson drive. And Jared Goff, he throws a deep pass, and it's to Jameson, and it's not even it's not even on the correct shoulder. He threw it on the wrong shoulder, and it was way inside. And I remember, this game was one of the weirdest games I've ever seen. Like, Lions won 26-23, avoid overtime, scored 19 unanswered points. I mean, it seemed like every time Jared Goff threw a pick, C.J. Stroud would just return the fate. Like, the Texans could have blown this game out of the water, especially early on. They were up 7-0. I think quietly the play of the game and the sequence of the game is Joe Mixon getting tackled at the 2 on that screen pass, and then the holding call on the next play. Texas would have gone up 14-0 if it wasn't for a holding call. Instead, they sell for 3. It's 10. I think it's 14-0. They may absolutely blow out the Lions out of the building that way.
I mean, that changes everything. I think the Lions are just going to win this game. I think they're just going to win this game. As I said a couple weeks ago with Washington, it's not good how impactful bets are on my day, even though I did go to bed shortly after. It's still impactful on how I felt going to bed. The thing about Jared Goff's picks, I think the Jameson pick was the only bad one. He got hit. There's a deflection at the line. Hail Mary, and
there's 5 of them, so I'm trying to remember all of them.
Yeah, and the one he threw near the end zone to Laporta kind of came off his route and then kind of slid a little. And if he comes off that crisply, it's a nice catch right there. So I think the Jameson one was bad. That was a bad one. But the rest were, I think it was just weird sequence of events. But I think it just shows the Lions as that's what great teams do.
I'm actually more confident in the Lions. I was already really confident in them. They're my Super Bowl preseason pick. I'm actually way more confident because they won a game like that. Because you've seen Jared Goff, everybody's he's had this 6-game or the best 6-game stretch. A lot of that when everything's going well, you're going to play really well and you're going to win games by a lot. But I want to see what happens when the run game isn't going, when you're getting pressure constantly, which that was the case in both those instances of Goff was constantly under pressure. And Goff is one of those quarterbacks, if you get pressure on him, it's really going to affect his game. He's probably one of the least athletic quarterbacks I've watched. He's definitely more athletic than Peyton Manning. But when Peyton Manning got pressure, I mean, you could kind of see the play would kind of break down. And that's kind of with Goff, too, is if you get pressure on him, he's not going to be able to ad-lib and create off of the pressure. So that's one question mark for the Lions. But the Lions, I think, are pretty much, in my opinion, I think they're the most complete team in the league because they can beat you in the passing game, in the running game. Their defense, they've had an interception in 7 straight games. So they're opportunistic. They lost Aiden Hutchinson, but they have Zadarius Smith coming in. The Chiefs are undefeated right now, but I think Lions are still playing outside of this past game. I still think they're playing the best complete football game.
You kind of stole my thunder there. That's what I was about to say, and then you kind of just dove right into my.
That's what I do.
No, stealing thunder from your brother. That's really nice. I was in the middle of something, and I take the smallest millisecond, and then you say everything I was going to say. But yeah, that's what great teams do. As I was going to say, they win games. They play garbage, and then you look at the Texans. I mean, I think Stroud is still obviously great, but I think there's now Stroud's not in the top 5, and there's a gap, and he could pass Herbert eventually, or maybe Burrow's risky past Burrow or whatever, or Lamar's not as fast or something. But
I think Stroud's 6.
There's a gap. I think Stroud is 6, but you can make a Stafford case. I'm probably still taking Stroud, but
Stafford.
I think Stafford. I think Stafford is agreeing with you. I think Stafford is possibly a little overrated now because I think he's also. I think I was gonna say Stafford,
I wasn't disagreeing with you,
but he may be a little overrated. It's who would you rather take right now, Kyler or Stafford? And now Kyler, it is hard to say when Kyler's playing his best and what happens when Kyler falls down to earth a little, but Stafford may be a little overrated at the current moment. I think he may have fallen off and people not exactly realize it because it's you still have 2 great receivers and you're not. I mean, how many did they score against the Dolphins? I know the O-line's not playing 15. Great, but yeah, it's I think Stafford maybe. I remember. Let me look at my key list. I'm getting off.
Well, I was always confused why there's conversations in the sports media about if you rather have Justin Herbert or Stafford, and I'm a huge Herbert guy. as you know. But I always thought Herbert should have been the slam dunk answer in that comparison. He's younger. I think he's more
No, I
athletic.
think that it was for right now, not for future.
Well, yeah, but even right now, I still think I would.
No, yeah,
rather
I'd
have
say Herbert too. I just think sometimes people want people who've won. And Herbert, he's playing great, but he needs to win a playoff game. That's what he needs to do this year. You may face like Josh Allen, which sucks. Or you may face Lamar, but it may be you face Russell Wilson or CJ Stroud. You're better than those guys. You have a good team. You gotta beat them then. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna get back on my Texas thing real quick. But yeah, I had Stafford at 7 when I made the QB list week after week 5. Stroud at 6. But it's like, who would I rather have right now, Purdy or Stafford? I think Purdy. Who would I rather have right now, Baker or Stafford? I think Baker. Daniels or Stafford? I think Daniels. Goff or Stafford? I think Goff. I'd still take Stafford over Dak, over Jordan Love at the moment, over Jalen Hurts.
I still rather have Stafford over Goff. I think
know.
That's a bit, and I think I'd rather have Stafford over Mayfield as well. I think you're going a bit. I think you're going a bit.
Dude, Baker's playing so well. He doesn't have his 2 receivers. Cade Otton's turned into the top tight end in football. He almost beat the Chiefs. They should go for 2. They could have beat the Chiefs. No, Baker, you're not giving Baker the love he deserves. Baker's been amazing.
But can I? So I know it was way early in the season, but I mean Stafford did he beat Purdy and the Niners without Kupp or Puka in that game.
And that was one of those Niners games that they should have won, and the special teams fell apart. That was another one. It fell apart, and people talked about the Seattle win the other week. They should have lost that one. Stafford does well when he should have lost, and then he comes back and wins. Like fourth quarter, Stafford's great, but he's getting lucky in some of these. Like the Rams are a good team, and you're looking like, is it just all because their O-line's underperforming? Like seriously? Like I think Stafford, you got to respect Baker. Baker's been amazing. Even if they're
I'm not saying Baker.
I think you are disrespecting Baker.
I think that's a stretch of saying
he's thrown to McMillan, Cade Otton, Sterling Shepard, his running backs, and he just lost his left tackle. You saw the play made against Nick Bosa. That was amazing. On 4th down.
No, that was amazing. No, but Stafford hasn't had his offensive line is just getting healthy again, and he just got Cooper Kupp and Puka back.
But he just had him against the Dolphins, a bad defense, and dropped 15 points.
I understand.
And they both played a week, so they were ready. He did not win. I think, dude, I'm taking Baker. That dude's such a dog right now. Kyler Stafford. I don't know. I don't know, but Stafford, I think
Kyler,
Stafford is at least he's in the same tier right now as Purdy and Baker and Goff and Daniels and Kyler. He's not like far.
No. But I also think that Kyler versus Stafford, there could be a lot of recency bias because
I know. I said
before they beat the Jets, you were still not buying into Kyler and the Cardinals. So I think there's a lot of recency bias in that instance. So
I've liked what I've seen from him. He looks more gathered. He looks more mature. But no, they're in the same tier though. I think that you have this weird NFL thing where you have Mahomes in his own tier, then you have Lamar and Allen in their own tier, and I think you have
Will you not put Burrow and Allen and Lamar?
Dude, I don't know. Tier? See, I don't know if Burrow's in their tier. You know what? You're right. Burrow's in the tier with those.
Yeah,
three.
he has 20. Does he have 24 touchdowns and 4 picks?
They're in the same tier, but I just don't think you could say Burrow's better than the 2. So do you want Burrow's in his own tier? Herbert's in his own tier. Then Stroud's in his own tier. You have between six quarterbacks. I think there's 5 different tiers. You can argue it's 4, but I think
see I would put Burrow in that tier that you don't have with Lamar and Allen, and I would have Herbert and Stroud in there. That. And I would have Allen Stroud in a tier. I don't think there's.
Wait, Allen Stroud. What? Stroud's on the same
or not
tier.
Stroud. Herbert and Stroud. My bad. Herbert. I would have Herbert and Stroud in a tier.
That's weird because you're the Herbert.
I don't think the tiers are one player and then a tier of 2.
I think in this, that's what I'm saying. So I think there's all those tiers, and then I think there's a fat tier of 8 guys. You know what? Jalen Hurts has been playing well. He probably belongs in that tier too. So does Jordan Love. I think 7 down to maybe 14.
Jalen Hurts has been playing well. But if you look at it, because he's throwing the ball way less. If you actually look,
but he's still playing with him. No,
He is playing well, but I'm not going to put him in the same tier as some of these guys are saying. I'm just not.
What? So him and Stafford can't. Dude, him and Pert. That dude. I think they're all in the same tier. I think Hurts is in that tier. I think we need to stop disrespecting Hurts. He's still a good quarterback. Just because he fell down from Super Bowl doesn't make him. I think there's a fat tier. But back to my Stroud point, why he's not on that Herbert tier, even though Herbert has not won, is like Herbert, at least without weapons, you see what he does and what he's doing right now. Stroud, without Nico Collins, can't win a big game and can't win a big regular season game. And I know his O-line's not been great, but there's something there's something he throws a little, like he throws some picks. Yeah, that's just something. It's not there right now. He's not on the same tier as Herbert. That's odd because you like Herbert more than I do. But
Well, no, if I would put him on the same tier, but I would have Herbert still ranked above him.
But I think when you're on the same tier, you can flop them. That's why I separate it so much. Same tier means you can mix match.
I kind of get what you're saying, but like for me personally, Houston losing. There's no shame in losing the Lions. Not the way they lost.
Side tangent.
Yeah, the way they lost to the Lions, not a good look. But for me, Houston, they're still going that division. I think Nico Collins is going to unlock a lot for that offense. You saw the offensive line actually block a bit better. They got some of their linebackers back, and their defense played actually much better as well. You kind of saw them dominating that game. I think it was just a weird game all around. And the Lions at this point are more experienced and have more talent. Houston, to me, I'm not as worried as you are. Now, if they lose it,
I've been on this for weeks, though. I've been on this for weeks. So it's like this is just justifying what I've already thought.
I think they're going to end up figuring things out once Nico Collins comes back. I'm not going to panic yet. Now, if Nico comes back and it's kind of the same story, then yeah, those concerns you have, I believe, become legitimate. And I think some of the concerns that you have are definitely credible. I'm not saying that they're not. But for me, I don't view them – I'm not on the same scale as you are in the panic. Not panic, but like worrying about the Texans. I still think they'll figure things out. You're missing your number one weapon. I still like the Texans a lot, and I think by the playoffs they could be picking up some steam. So I'm not going to count them out at all.
See, here's my thing. Like, let's compare them to the Bucks. Now the Bucks don't have a winning record, but that's not the point. The Bucks lost their 1 and 2. Texans lost their 1. Texans had a run game. Bucks have nice running backs, but they don't really have a run game. The Bucks' offense has been a lot better with Cade Otton and Sterling Shepard and McMillan and why am I blanking? Palmer. Then the Texans has been with Tank Dell, John Mechie, who's a second-round pick, Robert Woods, who's a very experienced veteran. I mean, you still have Tank Dell, and you still have the run game in Mixon that's playing well. So that's why I just like they're going to be better with Nico. Nico may be a top 5 receiver in the NFL. I don't know. He may be. But they even with Nico, like the stats were good, but there's still something off. Like they almost lost to Colts week 1. The Colts are a disaster. And Anthony Richardson complained. I haven't trusted them for like 7 weeks. And even while they're winning, I'm like, I'm not impressed. You almost lost to Chicago. Chicago sucks. So I'm not buying into the Texans for a while.
Chicago was also week 2. That was a week 2 was a long time ago.
But they literally didn't have. They didn't have an impressive win.
No, I realize that. But at that point in the year, the Bears now have absolutely quit. Like they've quit on their coach and they're done. At that point, there's still belief, and it was 19-13 that game. But I don't think the score was as close as it indicated. I think the
Bears
really
had a chance
dominated
to win
the game,
with the
and
ball.
then Broncos. The Bears did have a chance to win, but I still think like you could say the same thing, and we'll talk about where we gotta move on here. But you say the same thing about Steelers with Russell Wilson. They've beaten the Jets and the Giants, and they beat the Jets and Giants, and the Commanders was a good win. But the Jets and the Giants, both those teams, one team's moving off their quarterback, and one team the other quarterback. I think it's the same kind of argument you can make.
It's all about eye test, man. Their only impressive win was Buffalo, and that's Josh Allen's worst game in 4 years. He was just terrible. That's their only impressive win, and they nearly lost to Jacksonville. Kind of should.
They don't get any credit for Josh Allen playing that bad.
They get some credit, but when a quarterback throws 33% and he's a second or third best quarterback in the league, it's probably him playing terrible. That's just the Texans have a good defense. They don't have a fantastic. They're not the 2000 Ravens. They're just not impressive. They just don't impress me anywhere. There's nothing impressive about them. And I mean, we get to face Cowboys easy, Titans easy, Jags easy bye. Miami's not that good, but Miami could beat them. Chiefs, Baltimore's tougher than Titans. I mean, they could be the 2 seed, and I probably won't be impressed. I am just. It's the same feeling I had about the Bengals at the beginning of the year. I gained about the Texans like week 4.
Let's move on to the real or fake. I think this was going to be pretty interesting. Luke's kind of already given some hints of what he feels about some of these subjects. I'm probably going to get yelled at in some of these questions. I can already sense it based on some of your answers so far. But let's start with, so what we're going to do in this segment is I am going to propose a statement to Luke about each current playoff team in the AFC and NFC. And Luke's going to tell me if that narrative is real or if it's fake. So let's start with the AFC side of things. The Chiefs as the 1 seed. My statement to you is going undefeated would not be the best thing for the Chiefs and their Super Bowl aspirations. Real or fake?
Fake. Come on. You're the Chiefs. You saw the Patriots go undefeated, and they barely lost with the stupid David Tyree catch. That's the luckiest stuff ever. Nah, they're fine. If Chiefs go undefeated and you beat Buffalo and you beat Denver again and you beat Chargers again, that's Texans, and you knock on all those quality wins, it's not like you're facing Jags and Titans and Colts and Panthers, and even though you do face Panthers and Saints, and yeah, no, they're fine.
See, that statement is not about the quality of wins itself. My
but
point
I think
is
the quality of wins is huge. If
no,
you're
it's
beating
huge.
good teams.
But that's not my point is there's a stretch later in the season where they have 3 games in 10 days. And let's say they're undefeated going to that stretch. They're going to want to win all those games. And my point is the only thing I'm worried about is if they're at that point undefeated is just health and not burning out, but just the wear and tear and toll playing that many games in that little day, in that little span. That's why I proposed that question. It was just that's the main concern I have if they're undefeated at that point. But I get all they're saying, but that's just my main concern. It's not about the quality wins and all that. It's just about wear and tear and their focus of going undefeated, and if that can actually come back to bite them by playoff time because they're exerting so much energy towards achieving that goal. Which is, if they go undefeated, that's great. But
you get a bye week.
Stuff.
You get a bye week, and if you go undefeated, that means you didn't really get hurt, because you have to beat good teams. So I don't care. You can go undefeated. I don't think you need a loss.
Next question, and this one I already know. You're gonna yell at me. I already know it. Buffalo is once again becoming too dependent on Josh Allen. Now it's not like the last preseasons to that extent, but are they becoming too dependent on Josh Allen right now in these last 2 games?
I mean, they've been hurt. You have 2 top receivers hurt. You still have a good run game with James Cook. Defense is playing well. I don't think they've been too dependent. I think that's fine with where they've been. And honestly, if you want to beat the Chiefs, Josh Allen's going to have to be a little Superman. If you want to beat the Chiefs playoffs, your quarterback has to Superman it up in some form. So no. False. 2 false.
I'm
2
somewhat
fakes.
on the fence on this one. Even though what'd you say?
I'm 2 fakes so far.
Okay. This is gonna be another one. This is gonna be this is gonna be a fake as well. I already know it. The Steelers hype is premature. I already know.
That's fake. That's fake. No, you beat Washington. Good defense. Russell Wilson, 4th quarters looks great. Got a nice receiver. I know Highsmith is hurt, but you trade for Preston Smith. No, they're a legit team. They're just not as good as the top 3, but better. Yeah, fake.
So you brought up an interesting. They're definitely clearly a better team than this team that we talked about earlier, or that you talked about earlier. But you were talking about how Stafford is very good in the 4th quarter, but kind of struggles early on in the game and in the first 3 quarters. Can you say the same thing about Russell Wilson? I mean, the 2 games before this,
he's not asked to do as much.
Well, that's why I'm asking you.
But I never said Wilson's better than Stafford. The Steelers are a lot better than the Rams.
And I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, can you say the same thing though? Is that he struggles in the first 2-3 quarters, and the 4th quarter, that's when he kind of makes those kind of outlandish plays. Like Commanders, he was not that good in the game, but in the fourth quarter, he made those two huge throws in the fourth quarter.
But he's not asked to do what Stafford has to do, and he doesn't have the weapons and the rapport. Even though I'm talking about Mike Williams had 9 snaps. So still, Calvin Austin was wide receiver 2 of the game. So, no. I think, it's similar, but it doesn't mean the same.
This one you've already kind of answered. Houston will be just fine and should be considered legitimate contenders in AFC.
These are all fake. Dude, Texans may be the 6th best team in the AFC. They may be. Your screen just froze with you.
Like of the current playoff picture, you'd have if you had to rank them, you say 6. Like if this is NBA, you'd have them at 6th. Instead of the division lead. Like the top 7 teams.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean that's by record, not by power rankings. But yeah, I think Chargers are better, and I think Steelers are better.
Next one. So far, it's 0-4 in favor of fake. Baltimore's defense will prevent them from reaching the Super Bowl. Is that a legitimate claim or is that fake?
I'm trying to decide. Do I want to say that's legit or fake? Because, if I had to guess, I'd say yes. Yeah, it's real. It's real. Their defense, I'm going to slightly take your rephrase because I feel like you're saying yes or no on do they go to the Super Bowl. It's likely the Ravens defense
legitimate claim.
Makes a mistake. Oh, yeah, real, yeah. The defense is very fallen off. I mean, I still think they have a good shot. I mean, a good shot while you're trying to face a team that's undefeated. So it's so tough with the Bills and Ravens, so tough to be like, yeah, probably, but it's like, it's so tough being like, you're still Super Bowl worthy. You're just the Chiefs. Or the Chiefs.
Next one, these are the first of the wild card ones. And this one we kind of talked about before recording. The Chargers can reach the AFC title game.
I think they can. Now, do I think it's happening? No. But you got to get lucky. You got to face like the Texans, and then you can face the Ravens or the Bills. And you can beat those teams. And it would be a major Herbert moment for now he's getting launched into a tier he was not at, and he can finally crack that top 4 possibly. But so I think they can, but I don't think it's happening, but it's real. It can happen. It can happen.
Yeah, their defense, it's quietly been one of the best defenses in the league, and I think that's a big credit to Jim Harbaugh. It's really the same players that they had last year, and
Jesse Minter, he's probably gone after this year. That's going to suck for them.
They've allowed the least amount of points per game at 13 this season, which is the best in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Now, some of that's because of the opponents they play, but they haven't allowed north of 20 points in a game this season. They allowed 20 to Pittsburgh early on in the season. Herbert got hurt in that game, kind of derailed that game. I think Chargers, like right now, they would be playing Pittsburgh if the playoffs started today. And I would give them a really good shot to win that game. And I think both teams are actually very similar.
They have the quarterback
manage the game. It'd be at Pittsburgh, yes. I think their defense.
That'd be interesting.
Both teams are very similar. Both ask their quarterback not to do much. I think Herbert can clearly do more than Russell Wilson. He's a top 5 guy. But right now his role is to manage the game because their weapons are not that great. But I think if that was the case, I think they would have a real shot to win that game. And then who knows after that point who they would play. But like I would love to see, and what's really cool is we see Chargers play. So Chargers have a really 2 big game stretch here. They played Cincinnati on Sunday night, and then they play Baltimore on Monday night in Week 12, which will be a Harbaugh matchup. Both 2 really big games. I think that'll be a big test of how real this statement is that I just said. But I like the Chargers a lot. Before the year, I had them winning 10 games, and I had Harbaugh winning Coach of the Year. I really like what they're doing, and they're not. It's Herbert's doing a lot with, or not a lot, but he's doing very well with very the receiving core is not that good. It's Quinn Johnson. McConkey is a fine receiver, but he's never going to be a 1. And Johnson before the year, everybody thought he was just a flat out bust. So,
Chargers. I don't think you're saying anything new here. I think everyone at the consensus is like, yeah, Herbert's playing pretty well. Even if you don't like that he hasn't won, everyone's pretty much like, yeah, Herbert's really playing well. But I'm trying to think who would be favored. Pittsburgh Chargers. I would
It'd
take
probably be
Chargers to
Steelers.
win, but
It'd probably be
Steelers
like
probably
Steelers
should be
minus two and a
favored.
half, minus
Yeah.
two.
Oh,
That's hard.
that's that. I would take Chargers, but I would not love it. And I think Steelers should be favored. That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Second wild card question. Or no. Did I miss? Oh, Ravens were the first wild card team. My fault. My fault.
Yeah.
I was viewing them as
They don't feel like a wild card team, yeah.
No, they do not. The Broncos. So right now, Buffalo's a 2 seed and Ravens are the 3 seed. And Denver, if that was the case, would Denver rather be the 7 seed or 6 seed? I say that they rather face Buffalo than Baltimore.
That's easy. That's easy. We saw what Ravens did to them. That's not even a question.
And I think they can actually pull off because Buffalo.
Wait, is that the real or fake?
Yeah, would they rather face Buffalo or Baltimore?
Oh, that's not even a question.
In the first round.
That's not a question.
Like right now, if the playoffs started today, it'd be Denver at Buffalo, and Buffalo loses weird games. Like I could definitely see Denver beating Buffalo in a weird game, and we saw Denver beat Buffalo last year with Russell Wilson in a very weird game. So, in Baltimore, I still think they match up well with Baltimore at all.
Remember what I said about those quarterback tiers? The next tier, I think Bo Nix would be in that next tier quarterbacks after that big
playing
tier.
Well, but I think
after that big tier of like the 7 guys.
I forgot who was in your tier.
I mean, it was like Hurts and Kyler and Stafford and Daniels and Purdy and Baker. The next tier could 100% have Bo Nix and also have Drake May in there. Honestly, because then you're looking at like late teens.
Did you ever mention Jordan Love?
Yeah, he was in that tier as well. The big tier.
Okay. I didn't hear you say it, so I was like, "Do you have Bo Nix?"
No, yeah, I just said it off the top of my head. But yeah, but Bo Nix, I feel very vindicated on Bo Nix right now. By the way, very vindicated. I
think he's playing very well, but I don't know if he's that high up yet. But I do think he's playing very well, especially with the lack of talent around him. I do agree with that. Let's now shift over to the NFC. I think these will be a little more mix and match. The AFC, you kind of. We're not.
So Chiefs were fake, Bills were fake.
The first 4 were fakes.
Texans were fake, and yes, but then the wild cards I all said real. But like,
the first 4 was like, it was pretty short conversation.
Yeah.
Let's start with NFC. The Lions are the 1 seed. My statement to you, for real or fake, Detroit will not lose another game this season.
Let me look.
And I'm not even sure where I stand on this one.
They're going to lose a game. I don't know who it's to. That's fake. They're losing to someone. You face Green Bay, Buffalo, San Fran, and Minnesota again. I'd pick them to probably lose San Fran game.
Okay. All right. And I do think the Bears game could be a really weird game because Jared Goff kind of struggles in the cold at Chicago. I think that could be one, but at this point, I'd probably take it.
They're going to lose a game. That's too many go. Even if I'm wrong on the San Fran pick, someone's beating them.
Next, the Eagles are 2 seed at 7-2. Thursday night is a must-win game for Philadelphia if they want to win the NFC East.
True. I'm actually real on that because if you lose that after Washington lost a big game, it'd just be like, what Philly? I mean, they've been good, and you got to admit they've been good. But like, just if I'm gonna take,
it's also like if you look at both those teams' schedules, the Commanders' schedule is it. Let's say they lose to Philly tomorrow night on Thursday. I don't know if they lose another game this season, including playing Philadelphia at home. Like they're still so soft after this upcoming game. Like
they're
the
good.
Commanders have a lot of winnable games.
Here's not just that, but if you lose to Washington, your best wins are Green Bay week 1, where Love got hurt and that field was garbage and there's a lot of BS going on. So like that game didn't ever change my opinion on anything. I don't ever consider that like a plus. I just consider it happened. You lost to Atlanta. You lost to Tampa. You beat Cincinnati. T. Higgins get hurt that game. What happened? Was there
Higgins? I don't think played that game.
Yeah, Higgins didn't play, and Bengals defense sucks. And so then like you nearly screwed up against Jacksonville. Dallas was kind of not too far for a while. Cleveland was close. I think it also is like, dang, we're just not that good. We just beat bad teams. And then you face a Rams team who can beat nearly anyone, even though I don't think too highly of them. Baltimore, you face Pittsburgh, you face Washington.
That's my
I
point.
agree. Yeah, no, so I'm full agreement with you.
Like, I don't know if you got a chance to look at Commander's schedule.
No, I just knew that wasn't.
It may be one of the easiest schedules remaining.
Yeah,
in
so
the
I
league.
agree. I don't. It's not even. But I'm just saying my main point isn't even the schedule. It's just I think it's a demoralizing loss.
No, okay. Here's a backup. If the Eagles win tomorrow, I won't say the division's locked up, but like, what would be if they win tomorrow? What's the percentage chance they win?
70-80% locked up.
Okay.
Because then Washington's on a 2-game skid, and you're looking at things.
Yeah. So the Falcons are the 3 seed, which is kind of amazing to think about. My question to you is, or my statement rather, Atlanta is the worst current division leader in the league. So on both sides, AFC and NFC, they're the worst.
Who's the 4 seed? Why am I blinking? Who's the
Cardinals.
4 seed?
Cardinals, Arizona.
Yeah. Well, Atlanta should have. Young Hoku was just terrible. But yeah, it's true. I don't think it's by a lot though. I think that yeah, I think Cardinals are close too.
Yeah, Atlanta I don't really view as that good. They have an abundance of talent.
I like the offense. The offense is a legit offense.
They have the worst pass rush in the league. They don't create any pressure.
They didn't.
Their coaching, I don't trust their coaching at all.
Mm-hmm,
situationally, schematically, I don't trust it at all. I think it's like Arizona at least is well coached. I just don't trust Atlanta at all.
I was really big on Atlanta for the year. I like their offense a lot, and I don't think I was wrong in that statement, but I think the coaching's not good. I did not think it would be bad. And I think the defense has no pass rush. I think the defense has secondary talent, but when you got no pass rush, and I thought like Grady Jarrett, he's fallen off. I didn't think he'd fallen off. He has. Judon's done nothing, and they didn't go get anything else. So yeah, did the worst one, but like their offense is still pretty good. Young Cuckoo's gonna make kicks usually.
You already answered this next one I have. You already answered it earlier in the episode. The Cardinals will win NFC West. That's what I have. You just say fake. Yeah. And we don't really need to go much in that because we've already kind of gave both our perspectives on that. First of the wild card teams, the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota is the most likely team in the wild card to miss the playoffs.
Ooh, Logan, that's a. Give me a second. See, that's when I got to look at. Oh, this schedule's cake. The schedule's really easy.
And this question this may be a week too early because I think if they lose to Tennessee,
I'm gonna say
think very differently.
I'm gonna say fake. Oh gosh, this is gonna sound. I'm saying fake. I think it's Green Bay. Oh wait, are you talking about both playoffs, or just both conferences, or just the NFC?
No, NFC and just the NFC.
I'm gonna say Green Bay is because first off, they're 6-3, and their schedule's tougher. You know, San Fran, tough game. Miami, you can lose to, but should be cold, so that should help. Detroit, you can lose to. Seattle, I could see you lose to. If you lose the Saints, then you're screwed. And Chicago twice, and so yeah, I'm gonna say Green Bay, but I still think Green Bay makes it. But Green Bay, so fake.
I think Minnesota is the most likely, and I think there's a real chance they actually miss this because Sam Darnold. The last 2 weeks we have seen Sam Darnold revert back to who he was before Minnesota. He's had 5 red zone interceptions. They beat the Jaguars by 5.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. He's really high and now he's really low. I think he's going to find a little medium. And I think in the red zone, you're going to see a lot more instead of like throws up the middle. It's going to be run the ball. Justin Jefferson fades. I think Kevin O'Connell's going to adjust.
So a guy who's throwing interceptions in Justin Jefferson in the equation doesn't make it 50-50. But theoretically, you're going to have him throw 50-50 passes when he's already struggling with interceptions.
Yes, that's one of the best receivers I've ever watched. And also, he's doing really well 20-20. And so I don't think he's fallen. The picks are terrible, but I think he's going to find a median. And I think that they're too good and the schedule's easy.
Like I said, this maybe
And his
a week too early.
receivers are stacked.
But if they lose Tennessee, I think you may reconsider that. But of course, that's a big
that's if you lose to a team who has 2 wins, yeah, of course you have to reconsider things.
Next one, the Commanders. My statement is earning a wild card spot would give Washington an easier path in the playoffs. And you kind of have to look at
2 seeds you're facing.
So right now they're the 5. So let's say you're the 5 or 6.
End up.
If you're the 5 or 6, you would face
they're the 6. They're the 6, Logan. They're the 6. So you're facing Atlanta.
So you would either if they're the 5 or 6, you would be facing right now either Arizona or Atlanta. That's why I proposed that question. Instead, if you end up being the 2 seed, you'd be playing Green Bay, San Francisco, theoretically.
That's a tough one. I'm very close on it. I'm gonna say real, but I would like them to have a home playoff game against you'd be facing Green Bay or Eagles. And if you win your division, you probably have beaten the Eagles, but then you want to face the Eagles, and then or it's Arizona sneaks in and Philly or Green Bay.
If they win their division, if they win tomorrow night, they would be the 2 seed. If they're the 2 seed,
you're probably
I see the Eagles as probably the 5. So I think you'd be facing Green Bay or San Francisco, or I guess Minnesota if they slide a little bit.
It could be or Arizona. I'm gonna say real because of just the likelihood, but I think it's a close call. So
you do think they have a better path if they're a wild card?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. The Packers, who are currently the 7th seed. Green Bay is more likely to make a deep playoff run as a wild card team. And this is another one where you kind of have to look at the current.
Than anyone else? It's basically.
I'm saying they're more dangerous. They're more likely to make a playoff run as a wild card team rather than win their division. And
because if they win their division, that means they go absolutely ballistic, and because they have to overtake the Lions. So false. If they win the NFC North,
okay, that's not what I'm saying. Right now
that's what you have to say in the hypothetical.
Okay, do you let me explain?
But you have to beat the Lions. That's my whole point.
The top 4. Okay, but the top 4 right now. This is my point has nothing to do with what you just said. My point is, of the top 4 seeds, you have Lions indoor team, Atlanta indoor team, Arizona indoor team. I think the Packers are more equipped to play better, especially offensively, on turf rather than at Lambeau. Lambeau's gonna be freezing cold, and I think their offense is more suited to play indoors. If they played Detroit this past week indoors, I think that's actually more supportable for their offense.
I don't. If you win the NFC North in the current state of things, I think that just means you're insane. So I don't think it matters the indoor, the home field. And I don't even like them at home that much, or the home field away, who you're facing. No, if they win the NFC North, the Lions are 8-1 and the most well-rounded team in football, as you said. If they manage to win that, you basically have to go undefeated. And if you go undefeated, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm thinking you can go to the Super Bowl. So, no, that's fake.
All right. Well, that was real or fake. I think Luke had disdain for multiple of these. And I think some of them he liked, but I think most of them you were not a huge fan of.
My pen fell. I can't get it. That's sad. Everything's falling. Now it's all good now.
All right, let's move on to our picks before Luke's laptop falls and I'm left here stranded. So let's move. Okay, what is going on with you?
I need to grab my pen. There, we're good.
Okay, do you finally have your pen? Okay. Let's move on to week 11 picks after that disastrous few seconds. So, week 10, I was 10-4 on money line. And wait, hold on. I gotta pull it up on my laptop.
We go paper here, boys. We go paper.
And 8-6 against the spread.
I was the exact same.
All right, and my season record right now, money line I'm 87-49, and spread I'm 68, 67-1. So 50-50 on spread.
You say 87 and 49? Oh, I did some math wrong. I didn't do math. I didn't. Okay, money line. I had 94 and 32. I was like, that's not right. Yeah, 94 and 42 money line, 82 and 54 on spread. So I'm still winning.
Much better than me on spread. I'm more like 50-50 on spread. So much better than me on. And then I think you're like 7 games. Okay.
Yeah.
My first 2 weeks of bet on money line was really bad. So
I think so were mine. So were mine.
They were better than mine, Luke. Mine were disastrous.
8 and 8, and then 10 and 6. Huh?
That's fine. I don't even. I have to scroll up on my laptop. It was not good for me at all.
See, this is my
well, we just talked about these two teams, and we've talked a lot about this game on Thursday night. Commanders at the Eagles. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I think we've broken these teams down, so probably don't need to break down the game as much. I like Jane Daniels, and I'm going to take Washington to win, and I think they're the better team. And they have the better quarterback, in my opinion, and I trust their coach more, and I still don't trust the Eagles.
Eagles, I think, have way more talent, and I also think Eagles really didn't have to play their starters in the fourth quarter at all in that game against the Cowboys, which we had an argument before the season started about the talent discrepancy between Eagles and Cowboys, and you said Cowboys were more talented. That game vindicated that they don't have anything. And I know Dak Prescott was out, but they don't have the talent that Eagles have.
I didn't say Eagles were more. I didn't say Cowboys more. I said it's close.
You said it before the year. You said Cowboys were more talented.
I did not say
I
that.
vividly remember saying this.
I don't believe I did, because I wouldn't have said about the O-line. Quarterback would have been a toss-up. Receivers are clearly Eagles. Running back are clearly Eagles. No, I did not say
before
that.
The year. Okay.
I think I said it was close. I said it was close. I definitely
nonetheless, I'm going to take Eagles in this one, but I'm going to take Commanders to cover. So I think Thursday night games are really weird. Division game. I do think, though, Commanders having to play that, like, Eagles did not have to play that much against the Cowboys. They sat their starters the whole fourth quarter. I think that's going to, especially in a Thursday night game, I think that's a big deal. But I'll take the Eagles to win, but I do think Commanders cover the 3.5. Packers at the Bears. Packers are -5.5.
Bears suck. Packers are good. Packers -5. Even in division, I mean, I don't care. The new Bears OC was the Panthers OC for 3 games last year.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Packers as well, and the spread. I don't think this game is gonna be particularly close. And like the thing with Caleb Williams is, when a quarterback's playing bad and he has 0 interceptions, it really tells you that he's very hesitant to throw the ball and let it loose. Like, he has not thrown any picks, so he's playing very safe. And
a lot of the sacks are his fault too. So
exactly, and I think he's holding on to the ball, and he doesn't want to make mistakes throwing the ball. So people say he has 0 interceptions in this whole course of these games, but that's not a good sign. It's actually a bad sign because he's not playing aggressive. And I think that also comes down to coaching. I think coaching has just been terrible around him. I think they're telling him not to turn over the ball, and it's kind of causing him to display hesitant. Next game, and I think the only question about this one is spread. Jaguars at the Lions. Lions are -14, which I have not seen a line like this.
I cannot in good conscience take the Jags to do anything. I mean, Vikings played terrible and Jags still lost. Lions are coming off a crazy game, but Dan Campbell's not going to let them have a letdown. That's not what he's like. I'm taking Lions cover 14.
Yeah, Lions are going to cover 14. This game may be over by the second, third quarter. This could be a repeat of the Lions versus Tennessee Titans a couple weeks ago. With Mac Jones, Jaguars aren't going to do anything offensively. So, and Lions, I think last week was a wake-up call for them. I think they're going to bury this game pretty quickly. Send a message.
Agreed.
Vikings at the Titans. Vikings -6.
I just changed this pick 10 seconds ago because I thought about it. I thought about what I said about Minnesota. And if I do believe that he's going to fix the red zone stuff by just making it easier for Sam Darnold, and Sam's going to bring it back up a little, why wouldn't I have the Vikings covering 6? I mean, they're the better defense. It's still Will Levis. This team causes picks out the yin-yang. I mean, yeah, Vikings cover. I just looked at it. I'm like, wait, am I being stupid? It's Will Levis against a very confusing Vikings defense. Give me Vikings.
Well, there are two sides of the ball in football. I think Tennessee's actually an underrated defense. I don't think they're a
No, I
lockdown
do
defense
too, but
by any means.
Vikings
I think
offense is
underrated.
still
Sam
insane.
Darn. I know, but they're also a pass funnel. Like they're very bad against the pass, very good against the run. So Tennessee won't be able to run this game, but I do think Will Levis. He has been playing. He played pretty well, I thought, last week. You know, some of it was garbage time. I have the Vikings winning this one, but I have Tennessee covering, and they
I
could
think
be.
everyone's taking Tennessee to cover. I'm just going to call it. I think Vikings may swamp them, and everyone's like, there we go.
We'll see. I think this defense, if Sam Darnold struggles Jacksonville's defense, he could definitely struggle against Tennessee, especially on the road.
He could, but I think Kevin O'Connell's going to get stuff going. He's going to get some good stuff.
Raiders at the Dolphins. Dolphins -7.5.
I like Dolphins to win, but Raiders play pretty okay against teams like Miami. So I'm going to take Miami to win, but I'm going to take Raiders to cover, and I don't love Raiders, and I'm okay with the Dolphins, but I'm going to take Raiders to cover and Miami win.
I still don't think Miami's offense was that great this past week. I mean, Tyreek Hill, I think that touchdown was really a manufactured touchdown. It was really forced to him. They could have ran the ball. It felt like a design play for Tyreek Hill just to get a touchdown, just to get him back in the end zone after 7 straight missed weeks of scoring a touchdown. But I have the Dolphins winning, and I have them covering. I don't think Raiders have the defense to stop them, and I don't think they have the offense to keep up with the Dolphins. Dolphins still have so much speed on the field. I think Dolphins really. I think they try to prove that they're smarter than everybody, and they run all these like trick gadget plays. Just run a regular play. You have all the speed. We don't have to keep running these toss plays that are unique and these pass plays that are,
No, yeah, I agree.
So, but I do think Dolphins cover the 7.5. Rams at the Patriots. Rams -4.5.
I almost picked Patriots on this game. And I'm going to be really mad because I should have picked Patriots to beat the Bears last week, and I didn't. I picked them to cover. I'm going to be mad if I pick Patriots cover and they win again. But I am picking them to cover, and I'm picking the Rams to win because the Rams are still better, and the Patriots still kind of suck. But I love Drake May. He's so good.
I have Rams winning, and I have them slightly covering this spread. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, but I think they will bounce back after a pretty bad loss. I've never seen a Sean McVay Rams team with Stafford play that bad when they had that much time to prepare. Like, they were just flat out bad. Didn't score a single touchdown. They really seem out of sorts in that game, but I think they bounce back in this one. So I'm going to take the Rams to win and slightly cover. Maybe by 6 to 7 points. Browns at the Saints. So when I wrote this pick down earlier, the Saints were actually -1. But I'll do it off of this now. It's Cleveland -1, and I will still have my pick with that line. But you go ahead with your prediction.
One of the most meaningless games, at least for this year. Cleveland -1. Jameis, I think, will play better. Saints got their win with the new coach. They got the new head coach theory. Give me Cleveland.
Yeah, I have Cleveland as well. Saints won the game last week. They got the coach boost. I think they come back down to earth in this one. They still don't have any weapons. I don't care that MVS caught 2 touchdowns and had over 100 yards. It's not going to happen again. I like the Browns this one. I still think Browns have good talent, and they just wasted their time with a quarterback that was really bad to begin the year. So I think they actually have confident quarterback play, even though Jameis was horrendous the last time they played.
Bet Cleveland? Because I actually kind
of. I mean, I may do it. I may do it because this week there's not a lot of value unless you are
Myles
really
Garrett
upset picks. Yeah, I like Cleveland's one, and I just don't. I don't trust the Saints at all. I don't trust Derek Carr, so I actually like the Browns in the spot a lot. Colts at the Jets. Jets -4. If you didn't see the news earlier today, the Colts are going back to Anthony Richardson and saying he's their star for the rest of the season. We shall see because we heard the same thing about Joe Flacco. So
I think this was Jim Irsay, by the way. I think Irsay saw everyone being like, this is the dumbest run thing. You're either lying about Richardson and he's even worse of a quarterback maturity-wise than we even knew. So I think this is Irsay. I'm not even saying that's wrong, but I think it's Irsay. But I'm taking Jets to win, but I'm taking Colts to cover. Close game. You're asking me to take a really talented second-year player who at times is 2 for 15, or a 40-year-old who's egotistical, but you know what? He's still kind of good and has two really good receivers. He's kind of good at times. Like
I was gonna say, I don't think
so
he's kind of good
he's
anymore.
good at times. For like a quarter, you'll see some old Aaron Rodgers stuff. Like and then it's
For a
gone.
quarter, I don't know if it's even for a quarter.
He's had maybe like 4 quarters this year separately where it's like, that's Aaron Rodgers, and then it goes quickly. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Jets, but I'm taking Colts to cover because Richardson will make a couple good throws, and Taylor will probably have a lot of rushing yards.
I actually have Colts winning this one. I think it's just all about, I don't think both teams have pretty bad vibes, but I think the Colts, Richardson wants to prove he has something to prove now coming back to the field. They still think, in my opinion, that their season's still to be saved. The Jets, I think at this point with the Jets, I think the players are trying to give up. Even like after the last game against the Cardinals, the messaging is completely mixed. Like Ulrich said that the energy was there and the effort was there, but execution wasn't there. And then Rodgers quickly after that said the team had no energy. So I don't like the messaging. It's Aaron Rodgers led team. It's going to be.
I agree, but you could say the Colts leader.
I think Colts are not good vibes.
Kenny Moore said way more devastating stuff than that mixed messaging, because mixed messaging happens a lot. It's not good, but what Kenny Moore said and then Quentin Nelson backing him up, those are like two of the leaders, the vets of the team, which is kind of wild because neither is that old. I think that's a lot worse vibes than Jets, and you're just masking it by playing Anthony Richardson again, who last time he was in a game tapped out mid-drive. So I don't think you can argue Colts have like this much better vibes. Like I would argue Colts have worse vibes, and I don't like the Jets vibes at all.
And like the Jets since finally saw it, their defense has been terrible.
No, yeah.
And I think this game is actually almost like I think it's a good recipe for the Colts. I think they're going to run a lot. They may use Richardson a lot more on the ground. I think this year they've kind of focused on making him a drop back passer, but maybe in this one they focus on him using his legs more. I think the game plan for the Colts matches up pretty well with the Jets' defensive problems. So,
I also think that the owner made them start their quarterback, and I think that's never good vibes. I don't think you can. The Colts have horrific vibes.
No, I'm not betting this game, and it's not a confident pick, but that's just my gut feel on this game.
No, yeah, I'm more arguing on your vibes thing, not even your pick, your vibes comment. Colts vibes are horrendous. Jets are just more in the national news because of Aaron Rodgers.
Ravens at the Steelers. Ravens are -3.
When it's -3 a lot, I kind of just pick them. I don't think it's too smart all the time, so I'll just do that. But I'm going to, and I'm going to trust Lamar. I'm going to trust Lamar. I'm going to trust Baltimore, so I got Baltimore -3.
So these teams have not played yet this year, and I think they split the season series. And I don't see the Steelers beating the Ravens in Baltimore. So I have the Steelers winning this one. And Lamar's actually been very bad against the Steelers in his career. He's 1-3. He has 4 touchdowns compared to 10 turnovers. His pass rating is 66.3, which both those statistics are his worst against any opponent. And in the Ravens average less than 20 points in those games, and he's only completing 58% of his passes in those games against the Steelers. So I think Steelers have his number a little bit, and I just think based on the fact that I believe they split the season series, and I don't see the Steelers winning in Baltimore, and that's why I have the Steelers winning this one. Falcons at the Broncos. Broncos are -2.5. And at this time last week, they were actually underdogs against Falcons, which I'm very mad at myself for not.
So I'm picking Denver. My one fear is that they have this letdown after this brutal loss to the Chiefs. But they have a veteran head coach and a rookie quarterback who I think they're kind of gathering around. So I think they're going to pull through the tribulations of losing a game to the Chiefs on a block field goal. But that does concern me. It does concern me. But I'm going to take Denver. But I feel like, and I'm also concerned a lot of people are taking Denver for sure. So, but I'm still going to stick with it.
I have Denver as well. Falcons, like I said, I don't really trust them. I still don't trust Kirk Cousins in certain spots. And like last week, they were terrible against the Saints. I think it's a tough game. You know, the Falcons are used to playing in a dome, and now you're playing in a higher altitude in Denver. I'm not sure what the weather's supposed to be in this one, but Denver's a lockdown defense, and I just don't trust Atlanta's coaching. So I'm gonna take Denver to win this game. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. Like the over under is 44. I think we're gonna see the under in this one. I don't think. I think Denver's gonna hold down Ravens or not Ravens. The Falcons run the ball a lot, lean on the defense. Bo Nix makes a play here or there to extend a drive. Atlanta has no pass rush, and I don't think like Broncos have no run game. Like I don't think Broncos have a very good run game at all. But they're gonna lean on it with Estime. I think he's won the starting job at this point. Sean Payton drafted him. But yeah, I don't like Atlanta at all, especially defensively. I don't think they're going to pose any issues for the Broncos offense. Seahawks at the 49ers. The 49ers are minus 6.5.
I mean, you know who I'm picking. I think Niners are really good, and I think Seahawks suck. And the Niners insanely outplayed them last time. Is closer than it should have been. Give me Niners minus 6.5.
I'm going to take Niners. Yeah, I'm going to say Seattle covers, but I'm not going to say that they almost win this game at all. I think 49ers are going to have control in this game for the majority of the game. Maybe a backdoor cover. But Geno Smith has not beaten the 49ers as a starter for Seattle. He's 0-5, I believe. So he's not going to beat them. 49ers are clearly the better team. And the way Seattle lost that game they had a bye last week, but the week prior to the Rams, it has to be demoralizing when you basically had the game won. In regulation, well, actually in regulation you forced overtime, but in overtime you were on the Rams 20-yard line, 4th and 1, and you drew up the most obvious run play with no receivers on the field. So I think that loss could carry over for this. But I think coming off a bye, I do think they cover the spread. I think it's the game of the week probably. If I had to guess, I mean, there's a lot of key games, especially
it's the best. It's the most, it's the 1 and 2 seed.
Chiefs at the Bills. Bills are 2.5 favorites. Will Luke continue his streak of picking against the Chiefs in big games?
Okay, I'm hedging. I'm getting one of these picks right.
Wait, so you're picking Chiefs? Well, I have to change my pick.
Chiefs are cover.
Chiefs pick the butt Bills.
Bills wait. I don't like it at all.
What's your team? Bills? Okay, cool. I was about to change my
Bills to win, Chiefs to cover.
I love this.
I believe it 50.001% the Bills are going to win. I don't know, man. So you think Chiefs lose by 2 or less? I'm hedging my bet here.
That's not really a hedge, but okay. You still pick
I'm
Chiefs
getting
to lose.
one of them right. There's no
You can get them both wrong.
No,
I guess you have Chiefs. If Chiefs win, you cover.
Yeah, if Chiefs win, I cover, and Chiefs. Yeah, I'm.
But what if Bills just win by 3? Then you don't.
Then I get the money line right.
Okay, so it's okay. This is.
I don't know. I try to pick as a non-Chiefs fan. I don't know. Logan, I don't know. I honestly don't even know who's gonna win or I don't know who's gonna win. So this is what I did. I can't make a decision.
So for me, both these teams are going in opposite direction health-wise. Chiefs, they're not gonna have Pacheco back, and probably not Omenahu, but they may get Juju back. Dalton Kincaid didn't practice today. They've already announced Keon Coleman's out. Amari Cooper was limited in a walkthrough today. I don't know if he's going to play. I trust Andy Reid more than Sean McDermott, especially in crucial situations. And the Chiefs have proven in crucial situations they will find a way. Third down, they're one of the best third down teams in the league offensively. And Mahomes has been incredibly clutch, even though he struggled for most of the duration of games. He comes up in the big spots. I'm taking the Chiefs in this one. And it's going to be hard for me not to bet the Chiefs this week. When you get the Chiefs at plus odds, it's really hard to not. And I know it's the Bills. And the Bills have actually had the Chiefs number in the regular season the last couple times they've played, which that's definitely an argument for the Bills. I don't trust Sean McDermott in big spots. And like I said about the Bills earlier with Josh Allen, he didn't have any picks entering either this week or the past week. And he's thrown 3, not 3 in each week, but 3 collectively in the last 2. So the interceptions I think you're going to start picking up. I like the Chiefs in this one. I think the defense is going to hold down Josh Allen to an extent. And over under 46, I would probably take the under as well. I don't think this game gets
that's a high.
That number. I like the Chiefs in this one. I think the Chiefs are going to continue to win. It's going to be the same thing like every week, except now you give the Chiefs that extra edge of being the underdog. Take the Chiefs.
Chiefs don't need an edge. They're facing the.
That's why I said extra edge.
But they
That's
don't
true.
need any. I just think I'm taking the Bills because our Chiefs really going to beat Ravens, Cincinnati Bills in the regular season the same year. And our Chiefs really going to go undefeated? I just don't think so. So that's why I'm going to take Bills.
Not like
I don't
early,
love
like
it. I don't love it.
if the Bills are fully healthy, I would take the Bills because we've had these discussions before. I've said when I looked at the schedule, the first loss and maybe the only loss, but the first loss for sure that I had on the schedule circled was the Bills. But right now, I still don't think they're healthy right now, and they also lost the offensive lineman in the Colts game as well. The name is escaping me, but they also lost the
Well,
offensive
when the
lineman.
name's escaping you, it's not bad.
Okay, but to have your top four weapons probably not play, I think it's a pretty
Yeah,
big
it's
deal.
not the best, but I think Josh spread around it. I don't love it. I don't love it.
Sunday night, this game got flexed. Thank God, because we were about to have to watch the Colts and the Jets play on Sunday night if this game is not flexed into it. Bengals at the Chargers. Both these quarterbacks in the same draft class. Chargers minus 1.5. I'm very curious where you go on this one because this one I was very torn on who I was picking.
Here's what I thought about. If Jamar Chase does not have 100 yards, what chance do I give the Bengals of winning? Like 15 to 25%. What's the chance Jamar's 100 yards? Like 45, 50%. What's the chance I give him if he has over 100 yards? Like 30, 45%. So I'm taking Chargers. Taking Chargers minus 1.5. The better team. If they shut down Jamar, they should win this game. You don't even need to fully shut him down. Just don't let him drop 200. And he just dropped 200 and they still lost. I mean, they're not a good team. Trey Hendrickson, great edge rusher, but he's facing two very good tackles. Give me Chargers.
So we have not seen, like I said earlier, we have not seen Chargers really give up any points this year. They've only given up 20 points once and have not given up anything north of 20 this season. Now, T. Higgins and Orlando Brown are both trending to play in this one, which I think are two big additions to this team. The offensive line's been pretty bad, and T. Higgins, they need that number 2 receiving option behind Jamar. If those two are back, I'm taking the Bengals in this one. I think the Bengals right now they need to win, and it's just hard. And I know we disagree about the Bengals, but it's just hard for me to see them at 4-7, especially when the type of schedule is coming up for them. I see them winning this game, and Chargers. If Chargers win this game, or if they lose the game rather, you can see them losing this game and Baltimore if they lose this game. So I think it's a crucial game for both teams, but I'm going to pick Bengals in this spot. I think it's had more firepower, and I don't know if Chargers are explosive enough to fully exploit.
You're facing Bengals. Anyone could be explosive enough. Facing the Bengals, they suck on defense. Do they not?
I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying.
But Chargers aren't explosive enough.
The offensive personnel.
Oh my gosh! Anyone's explosive enough against the Bengals.
Okay, you said that against Arizona. You bet the Chargers against Arizona. They scored 15.
Yeah,
points.
but that was Arizona's good defense.
They don't have.
Arizona's good defense.
But at that point, that was our first. They were.
But we know. Okay, I was wrong. I'm not wrong that the Bengals are a bad defense. They're not going to turn into a good defense.
I'm not arguing that they are.
But just saying I said that, I was wrong. But that's reasonably wrong.
I don't know.
The Bengals are not going to be a good defense.
I never said they were. Why do you keep?
But that's why I was wrong, because I was wrong on what Arizona's defense
but I don't think the Chargers. My point is, I don't think the Chargers have the offensive personnel to score a bunch of points.
They've been scoring around mid to high 20s. You're probably going to score 30 against the Bengals. Titans are better defense.
That is interesting. I wonder if you can bet the over under on points if they score. I would take the. I don't know what the line is right now if they even have it out, but I do not think they get to. I don't think Chargers get to 27. I think it's more of a if they win, it's more of a low scoring game.
They'll get to 27. I feel so good about that. Bengals suck. They suck on defense. They have one guy who's really good. You don't have this good of an offense, and you're this bad. If you don't have a garbage defense.
Okay, we disagree. You said the same point 5 times.
So you don't think they have a bad defense?
No, I just said I'm not. You keep saying that they have a bad defense. But I just don't think. Did you not hear any of my? Do you not listen to?
I don't think it matters when you play a defense this bad.
I said their defense is bad, but I don't think Chargers have the offensive personnel to fully exploit. They'll still score, but I don't think it's gonna be this game. They scored 27 points. I just don't think that happens. If that was the case, let's look at Bengals past games. If that was the case,
27, 27, 26 is the last 3 Chargers games. against 3 defenses I think are better than the Bengals. Saints,
Okay,
Browns,
now
Titans. None of
okay.
them are good teams, but they have better defenses.
Last game, and I think this one's pretty easy. Texans at Cowboys. I'm not even sure how much. I do have Texans defense at fantasy, so I will be watching this game. Texans minus 7.5.
I oddly think Chargers cover this. But I have Texans winning, but I do
You
think
mean
your
you
Chargers,
mean Cowboys?
Cowboys. I'm saying Cowboys. I think Cowboys cover this. Yeah, I don't like them, but I
Based on
think they
what?
cover. Based on I don't like the Texans, and the Cowboys will have some corners, and it'll be Nico's first game back if he plays. Give me the Cowboys a cover. I don't think it's like close, but I think like I
Cooper
just don't
rushed
like the
last
Texans.
game, and this is why his when people were talking about his record as a when he came into play the last time Dak was hurt, it was so overstated. He had what was his passing yards this past game? I don't think he even got to 60 passing yards. Yeah,
No, I don't like Cooper
He was
Rush.
13 of 23 for 45. I'm taking Houston to win and to cover. I think the Cowboys at this point, you kind of like Micah Parsons for me says the wrong things at the wrong time constantly.
Oh, it's insane.
And I think the locker room's given up. I think Mike McCarthy already knows he's going to be out after this year. The Texans have to win. They've lost 2 straight games. The Texans are going to blow this game out. I don't think this game's going to be particularly close. So I'm going to take the Texans and the spread. I
just don't like the Texans. They're just not a good team. They're a fine team.
Now, starting last week, we did our best bets for the next week, the following week. What is your best bet right now when you look at the lines at week 12?
I forgot we're doing that. I know we discussed it earlier, but I forgot in the moment. Looking at week 12, I know I already had some. I just need to find them again. Steelers minus 188 against Browns. I like that. Vikings minus 4.5 against Bears. I like it. I like Tampa minus 176.
Okay, what's your best bet? I didn't ask you to give a run.
I heard best bets. So let me.
No best. But yeah, you give one, I give one. That was what we did last.
I didn't know it was one. I think Vikings minus 4.5 against the Bears. Bears are a mess. Vikings, I think, will get better. Vikings minus 4.5.
For me, it's probably. I mean, some of these are tough. I'm gonna say Tampa though. Giants season
That's
over.
a good one. Yeah, that's up there.
They're benching Daniel Jones. He's played his last down as a Giant, according to Adam Schefter. Or that's the thought, because it's also if he can't pass his physical, it's like March 15th or something.
Yeah,
his money for next year becomes. I don't know if it's fully guaranteed, but it's a lot of money you have to pay him if he gets hurt. It's something that we saw with Derek Carr a couple years ago. We saw Russell Wilson last year. Once the season's over and you're not playing for anything and you already know you're moving off the guy, you just bench him, don't play him again. So I like the Bucks against Drew Lock. That'll be his first start. Yeah, that's probably my favorite. At minus 176. That's
my just one problem is there's not going to be worse, and Giants still have a good pass rush.
What was worse injury? I know he got hurt, but I didn't keep
MCL strain, I believe. He's not playing next week.
And I was tempted to say Denver, against the Raiders.
Division game,
yeah. That's always kind of tough.
Even though I did pick Vikings to cover against.
Bears. And 2 days ago, the Cardinals were plus odds against Seattle, but I could see Arizona losing that game because I like I said, I don't think they're going to keep. I don't think they're going to win 13 or 12 consecutive games or whatever it is. So I do think they slip up at some point. But yeah, I would say Buccaneers are my best bet for week 12, and Luke's was the Vikings. Was it the spread or some money line?
Spread minus 4.5.
Okay. Well, anything else before we close out tonight's episode?
I don't think so. No.
All right. Well, that will do it for this week's episode of Laser Bros Podcast. Make sure to subscribe, like the video. We also post our episodes on Spotify, so also give a listen there as well. But until then, we'll see you guys next week with week 11 analysis, and continuing our discussion of the 2024 NFL season.
Pace.